Welcome to the show. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
And today we are discussing The Godfather. We'll laugh. We'll argue. Was that a Boston accent? We might get a little too into it, but at the end of the day, they're just movies.
Spoiler alert!
For a 1972 movie.
We're the show that dairy farmer Daryl Henderson spent over 16,000 minutes listening to in the milking shed in 2021.
In the milking shed?
This is real. It was an email, not a podcast review. But either way, it's utterly fantastic.
Oh, wow. I like that.
If you're going to listen to us anywhere, make it the milking shed.
Next week, we're going to do Nightmare Alley.
Oh.
But today, it's
we are?
Godfather. It's The Godfather all day today. All right, David, give us your rating of this movie out of 10.
There has never been a movie that has ever drawn me into its reality like The Godfather. Although modern audiences might find its epic pacing slow, I can find no real fault with Francis Ford Coppola's absolute masterpiece. 9.9 out of 10.
Damn.
Wow.
This is one of the best movies of all time.
Damn, boy.
This movie is
9.9.
so fucking epic. And like, it's long, but it has to be. And there's no, like, there's ebbs and flows and pacing, but man, like every moment matters. Every frame is beautiful. Every character beat is powerful. This is just as good as movies ever fucking get,
This
man.
guy's going to bat today. All right,
Holy crap.
Let's hear Riley's like, I don't know what your opinion is, but I just assume.
I mean, like, no, I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah,
Give it to
like,
us.
I know that I'm predictable in this way, maybe.
Give us the slogan.
I didn't really, it's more of just like a thing I'm going to say.
Just say it then.
I was going to try and be a bit of a hater on this one because I was like, yeah, it's fine. But like, I decided to
We don't need the preamble.
I'm deciding to take an open-minded approach because watching this movie, I honestly didn't understand. Like, I knew that it's revered, but watching it, I don't know why. I kind of know why, but like, I want you guys to explain it to me.
Sure.
I'll do that.
I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. David called it. David called it.
All right, give us your little
But
thing.
because you know, I didn't. It's just not very fun for me. I don't know.
Okay.
What did you
I was
write?
bored.
What did you write there?
That's what I wrote.
Oh, okay. That sounded really off the cuff.
Yeah.
All right, here's my actually prepared statement, Riley. The first half of The Godfather is an amazing movie. The second half is an amazing book. 8.75 out of 10.
Sure.
It's great. It gets quite bookish.
You're gonna need to
It gets quite, bookish doesn't actually
dive
mean
into that.
It gets quite literary, I would say.
I totally hear what you're saying, where like after the big turn where Michael has to escape New York, then it's a different pacing. But I get there, man. That movie
It
gets
is,
me.
but I'll dive into it more.
Like, you
mostly
feel
about the
things?
end.
I feel so much in this movie. I can't
just
believe.
felt so little.
Wow.
I want to talk about your little feeling right after this message from our sponsor, Storyblocks. Ever needed a quick clip for a video but didn't have the capacity to make it yourself? Storyblocks helps you bring your stories to life without sacrificing due to time, budget, or resource. There's over 1 million royalty-free assets for you to choose from, including 4K HD footage, Adobe templates, music, images, and a wide array of diverse and inclusive content. There are subscriptions for every budget, so you can choose the plan that works for you. From their unlimited all-access plan that gives you, guess what, unlimited video and audio downloads, to enterprise licensing, so your entire company has access to assets as you need them. We use Storyblocks here at Line of Tech Tips, as we don't always have time to go out and shoot the perfect B-roll footage, so take your videos to the next levels, like where our videos are, by checking out Storyblocks today at storyblocks.com/carpool.
One day LTT will get to our level.
Thanks to Secret Lab for sponsoring today's episode. Secret Lab chairs are engineered to keep you comfortable for long hours at work and play. Their Titan Evo 2022 series chair, which is under my butt right now, offers 4-way lumbar support to my back right now. It comes with magnetic magnetic memory foam head pillow and is offered in different upholsteries like hybrid leatherette, soft weave fabric, and Napa leather, the official leather of the TJM podcast.
Delicious.
With up to a 5-year extended warranty and a 49-day return policy, you're covered if anything goes wrong. So learn more about Secret Lab. That's 2 words at lmg.gg/Secret Lab. Now it's 1 word at TJM because it's the URL.
Is that allowed? To learn more?
They're Just Movies is supported by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, including their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You see, when I stumble on my words, I don't repeat it because we just want to get through these. Its new wireless charging system removes the need to bring cables with you and is compatible with most Qi charging pads. The Lawnmower 4.0 includes ceramic blades with skin-safe tech, reducing nicks and cuts on your sensitive little sack. It's cordless, it's waterproof, and it gets 90 minutes of use on a full charge. Should I say your sack was little? I take it back. It's vast. Head to manscaped.com/TJM20 and get 20% off and free shipping today. Put that in your sack and smoke it.
Already did.
Okay. All right, I haven't watched this movie in 25 years.
Yeah.
Riley. What happens?
In 1945 New York, war veteran Michael Corleone introduces his girlfriend Kay to his family, insisting he's not about that mafia life. But when Michael's father, the Don Vito Corleone, rejects drug lord Sollozzo's business offer, Sollozzo conspires with the Tattaglia family and guns Vito down in the street. But Vito survives, and at the hospital, Michael protects him from a second attempt on his life, facing off with the corrupt police chief, McCluskey. Sonny, Michael's older brother, retaliates with a hit on Don Tattaglia's son, while Michael lures Sollozzo and McCluskey to a meeting and kills them both. Michael immediately flies to Sicily for protection, meeting and marrying a nice Italian girl, Apollonia. In his absence, full-scale war breaks out between the five families, ending in the assassination of both Sonny and Apollonia. Don Vito, now recovered, decides enough is enough and makes a fragile peace with the five families, allowing Michael to return home. He marries Kay, promising that he'll transform the family's business into a legitimate one. Some years later, Kay has had 2 kids, and Michael has assumed leadership of the family, slowly transplanting their operations to Las Vegas as they're pressured by the Barzini family. After warning Michael that whoever approaches him to arrange a meeting with Barzini is a traitor, Vito dies of a heart attack. And at the funeral, Corleone man Tessio offers just such a meeting. It's arranged to occur the same day as the baptism of Connie's baby. While Michael stands at the altar as the child's godfather, Corleone hitmen murder the dons of all the other families, Tessio, and Connie's husband Carlo, after he confesses to setting up Sonny's murder for Barzini. When Kay questions Michael, she is at first relieved to hear him deny involvement in the killings, but is then dismayed as mafiosi arrive and pay reverence to him as Don Corleone, the Godfather.
Imagine if you never saw this and you listen to that synopsis there, you'd be like, huh?
Honestly, as I was starting to write it, I was like, because there's so many other details. There's so much more that happens in this movie, but I had to choose to like.
You chose to open your synopsis with Michael introduces his girlfriend Kay to the family, but
Yes.
it's like you don't see him for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't,
Yep.
but like, this is kind of my issue with the movie, but we can get into it later.
I will say this movie is clearly a book. Like it's
Yes.
from the beginning. It's like it's all about this world, the family, the whole. It's over many, many, many years.
By Mario
Puzo.
Puzo.
But he was involved in the film as well. And I think that the details and like the history of this book comes through in the movie. There's not like all the details that might be there, like explicit, but I feel like this place and time and this family is real.
I feel like this is a real. Oh, I totally agree with you. The wedding, they put so much work in.
Yeah,
on
the wedding.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a real rewatcher. I watched this movie, what I thought was like a year ago, and then I realized it was pre-pandemic, so it was 10 years ago.
Might as well be.
But I watched it, I thought I watched it recently, and I think, I was like, what is my TLDR? Michael becomes the Godfather was kind of it.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, it's one of those movies where like people have a poster of it, like Scarface. I've never seen Scarface. All I know is like, say hello to my little friend, Cuban stuff. So I had this
Little
idea.
cockroach. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I had this idea of the Godfather being like about the Marlon Brando character.
Right.
But really it's not about him. The protagonist, even though we don't really see him or interact with him for like the first hour, is Michael.
The first hour? What are you talking about?
You don't like Michael doesn't really get involved for like quite a while.
The turning point is the hospital, I think. As soon
Yes.
as the hospital happens, that's when it's like it comes through that like he's actually the smartest one in the family.
Yeah.
And
That's not. Is that the first hour?
I don't know. I didn't timestamp it out, but it's
I'd
a long
say like
time.
45 minutes maybe.
Yeah, about that. Sure.
What I'm saying is, on a rewatch, now that I kind of knew the gist of it and had that in my head from my recent, air quotes, viewing, there was so much more for me to notice because I was looking for it. Like, the whole movie is so set up to marginalize Michael into being like, yeah, he's a brother, but he's not part of the family. Like, he's not in our world. And he even is contemptuous of that world. When he's talking to Kay at the wedding, he's like, that's my family. That's what they do. I'm not like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, even like the fact that he's wearing a uniform, that's a visual of the
Right.
fact that he's part of an authority
Law.
that is the law that is against the family. Yeah,
Yeah.
that wedding does so much work to introduce the characters and the dynamics. Oh, I love it.
I will say that like something that struck me right off the bat was the strong visuals here. Like just the opening shot as well, where it's just like it starts in black and then it just slowly pulls back and we slowly get a little bit more light in the scene. It's a close up on Bonacera's face, and we just see like the reflection of the light in his eyes. He's got these little black beady eyes, and it like there are just some stark visuals like that throughout the film that I will say, that it was striking.
Well, it starts so strong too, because like that speech he gives about like I believe in America. And it's like, that's a strong theme of like, this is what people thought America was and the world is changing. And it's like, they start so fucking strong from the first scene. Oh, man.
Yeah, it all serves to tell us what does the Godfather care about, right? Because he says, you came to me with this request. You didn't come to me as a friend. Yeah. He doesn't care really about, he cares about money a bit, but he also cares about ritual and respect, being called Godfather.
I love, because like it's such a good setup to have him meet with people and have them make the request, because you see the different dynamics of how he leads this family. Like you said, this one, he has this fear that he commands in people because he is a mafioso lord. And so the people come to him like with request and fear, but then the next person you see is like someone who he is friends with, and it's coming in friendship. And he's like, I just want this guy to stay here and marry my daughter. And he's like, it's done. Yeah. It's done. And then you see Luca Brasi come in, like just the reverence he has. And like, I think that setup for Luca Brasi is so incredible. I love that character, like his innocence. And he's just like, he's so appreciative of being invited to the wedding. And when he goes and he stumbles over his words, and like, the Don's just like it's okay.
And that's what the Don likes though, right? Because he says, thank you for letting me be here. I'm loyal to you forever. I know you're busy. I'm going to take off.
Oh, the shot I love in that scene is when the kids run in and Tom like runs up and like stops them, because it's so clear like this is an intimate moment between these two men, and like he doesn't want the interference, but it's also a good setup for Vito where like the kids feel comfortable enough with him. So even though he's this commanding leader, he still is warm and welcoming to children. Yeah. They do so much in this movie.
Well, that's the thing is everyone you meet in this scene comes back later.
Yep.
Like the baker who made the wedding cake. He comes back later. The dude, because the one guy ends up being like a funeral home mortician.
Yeah,
like
Bonacera.
They incinerate some dudes, and then the other guy just happens to be at the hospital visiting.
Yep.
Like it's tight. It's all for a reason.
Yeah, I definitely like that first scene. Not only the shot, but the monologue itself is probably to me the deepest part of the film, where it's kind of like laying out for you this vision of like two Americas, right? There's the America of everyone else who are like, you have your capitalistic endeavors and you're trying to like be a good American and assimilate into the culture, and then you have this like ethnic tribe of Italians who are like, no, we're doing things our way and family is most important, and we're not going to respect the laws of the land so much as we're going to respect our own internal sense of morals and codes of conduct and stuff. And I think that like it's such an interesting divide between those ideas when Bonacera offers to pay him for the thing, and he's like, no, this isn't what like.
I don't need your money.
This isn't what this is about. Like, we do things for each other out of friendship, out of loyalty, and you have it all wrong. So he's like, if you want to interact with us in this way, you have to do it in our way, not in the American way. Yeah. And yeah, that's definitely the deepest part of the film for me. And I feel like, unfortunately, I mean, we'll get into this later, but I feel like it just kind of gets more and more less interesting as the film goes on. But yeah, that's a strong start.
Another interesting thing in that scene is you see the whole breadth of their morals, because the Don treats these random dudes who are coming, well, they're not super random, but these guys who are coming up, he treats them a certain way. And then when his godson, what's his name, Johnny
Fontaine.
Yeah. When that guy
Frank
walks in,
Sinatra stand-in.
he treats him completely differently.
Yep. But I love when he sees him out the window and he like has the biggest smile. It's like, Johnny came, and you're like that's out of character for him. Like, I thought he was just cool and collected.
Right.
No, because this is someone he like actually loves.
And you almost see the cotton balls when he smiles.
He lets him sit right on the edge of his desk.
Yeah.
But then he also holds him to a different standard, because
Totally.
then he starts crying, and then he like slaps him. Why don't you be a man? We haven't seen him be like that either.
Yeah,
so.
totally.
Well, because he's his godson, is almost like, he's more like a son than a member of the other member of the family or whatever, right? So like we see that he says later, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm sentimental toward my children or whatever. He lets them get away with things that he wouldn't let other people get away with. Johnny Fontaine.
I think they do a good job in that setup of Vito. They do a lot to show you, but what they tell you is the scary stuff. Like, Michael tells a story of like how they got Johnny Fontaine out of the contract, but you don't see that. You never see Vito be vicious and like be scary. You just hear about it. So in your head as an audience, you're on the journey of like, I like Vito. I think he's a good man. I see him with family, relationship, loyalty, but you never hear about like the you never see the crime side as much. And so I think that does a good job of setting the audience in a place where you're like, Vito, whatever he does, I'm on his side.
You think that's like an intentional thing to like mirror the sort of don't talk about the dark underbelly type of thing that's going on with Mafia? Like I tried to read up on Mafia and like their history and stuff and what they do in preparation for this podcast, because I don't get why people like the Mafia. But like their whole thing is that they don't keep records, you know? So then they tell stories and they lie and they like manipulate the truth to make it seem like something happened, to make themselves look a little bit better. And then eventually they might end up actually like believing their own myths. And so do you think that was like an intentional divide between like showing the audience this positive side of Vito and then hearing about all this bad stuff that he's done?
I don't think it was intentionally necessarily calling to that idea of oral history in
but
Mafia.
just like the, oh, he did this thing, but now we're not going to talk
exactly.
about it.
I think that's fair, where it's like we don't really want to see it. Although they do, then the movie does spend a lot of time showing us the evils of Michael Corleone. So
yes,
I love the evils of Michael Corleone so much.
But I did like, because I was surprised, because I think from the get-go I wasn't like endeared to Vito, you know? No, I mean I was like, you're a bad guy. You're an evil crime boss. And so I was like, I'm watching it from the lens of, okay, these people all have like an internal consistency and internal morality and stuff, but like I don't feel attached to him at all because I think he's a bad person.
This is why you don't like these. This is why you don't have the poster on the wall. This is why you don't like this movie. You don't think mobsters are cool. That is a prerequisite.
No, mobsters are fucking losers.
One of the things that's important to remember when you watch this movie is the time in which it came out. And this is definitely like near the beginning of the Hollywood New Wave, where anti-authoritarian films were new. And so anti-police was new.
Right.
And so that's something that's like, I think this movie, it's an interesting dynamic to examine, is that like we're more endeared to the crime than the police. And like this movie is like, fuck the police. Like they're evil.
I mean, not like that, but like, it's not like fuck the police, like fuck the police, like
you want to have sex with the police.
No, I mean in like the what are they called? What's the group?
ACAB?
The rap cop.
ACAB. All cops
NWA.
are bottoms.
And
NWA, not in the NWA way is what I meant to say. Yeah.
Oh. Anyways,
because some of the police are on the payroll.
No, but I think that's like I think within the context of this movie, even that's vile, and it's like sure they have control of it, but that's
although I guess it's kind of the same way at the end of the day. Let's move on.
I love how they introduce Michael so gradually into this story. He's so peripheral. Like, first of all, I have a question. When they're about to take the family photo, and then the Godfather's like, "We can't take the photo without Michael. Michael's not here." Is that because he would do that for any one of his tight family members, or because he thinks Michael is special and has a soft spot for Michael?
I think it is.
Is Michael special?
I think Michael is special because he's the hope of the family. He's the legitimate hope of the family. When Vito has that sad moment at the end when they're in the vineyard, and he's just like, "You were supposed to be like Governor Corleone. You were supposed to be Senator Corleone." But he's like, no, he had to get pulled into this.
Just another Pezzanavante.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, what did that mean? I didn't get that.
It's like a big shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even when who's the bigger fellow that's loyal to the family?
Like Calabrese or something.
When
like
he's teaching Michael how to like ditch the gun, he's like, Michael, like, I just want you to know we were all proud of you. Like, just for being a war hero.
That was a nice scene.
That hit me. I'm like, oh man, he's falling. Like, this is a tragedy. This is the tragedy of Michael Corleone.
Yeah.
And
it's so subtle though, man.
Oh, it's so
good. Subtle. Like when he's walking with Kay in the winter, like after his dad's been hit, and then he gets to the phone, like he sees through the newspaper. I'm like, what city is it? It turns out he's just down the block. Like he's been there the whole time. He's not far away, but he is because the rest of the family they like live together. They're always together. And then so he gets
nightmare.
He gets brought. Yeah, it's like everyone loves Raymond. Like your parents are right down the street. He gets brought into the main story, the crime story, in the most like visually delicate way possible. When he's finally in the room, he's in the house with everyone else. When like, okay, the Dons were shot. We don't have any information on what's happening. What are we going to respond with? There's all these people talking. Tom Hagen is there talking. Sonny's there talking. We think that they're the only people in the scene. And then in the foreground, like halfway through the scene, we see like Michael's arm, like he puts the phone down or something.
And then he's just
like, oh, he's been in the room the whole time. He's out of focus in the foreground.
Yeah, because they do that visual motif a few other times in the movie. Like there's a scene where Michael's outside smoking a cigarette and he walks into the room and all the men are sitting in the breakfast nook and that the fellow, the chubbier fellow, is making the sauce, and he's like, and then he's like, Michael, come over here, I'll show you how to make
that
the
was
sauce.
a nice little.
And so it's visually like all the men are in one area, they're all together, and Michael is just like
You're
sort of
not
on the
part of that, so
periphery.
here, I'll put you to work over here.
Oh, I love it.
And they
so
all
much.
underestimate him and don't think of him that way at all.
Oh, but he's so brilliant, man. That hospital scene, I'm like, oh man, this guy is a gangster.
Yeah.
Like he immediately knows what's going on. He figures it out. The way he utilizes the baker, he's like, you want to help us out? Go stand outside. Put your hand in your pocket with the gun. But he's so cool about it. I love the shot.
Well, he is
after.
a war veteran, you know. He's like he's
Yeah,
been in some
fair,
harrowing
fair.
situations.
But
With the lighter?
Well, yeah, when the baker's like shaking, and you feel so bad for the baker because that'd be horrifying. Like the mafia men drive up and then drive away, and you're just like. And Michael just coolly pulls out grabs his lighter, lights it, does it, and you're like, oh yeah.
And the
this guy
camera's
knows.
so tight on his hand to show you he's cool.
He's
his
so
hand is
cool.
not shaking. He's
Yeah.
cool.
Cool hand.
And the thing that is
Cool hand, Mike.
the most beautiful aspect of this is that he comes up with this plan, right, where he's gonna meet with these two folks with Solozzo and McCluskey or whatever.
Yeah.
He's gonna meet with them, and he's gonna have a gun planted. He's gonna use the gun. The thing that is so amazing about this and how harmonious this is from a writing perspective is his plan hinges on the fact that these men aren't gonna suspect him.
Yeah.
Because he's the war hero one. He's not in the family. He's not part of this world. They're not going to suspect him, so he's going to be able to get this gun and kill them. They're not going to suspect him, just like the whole family doesn't suspect.
Yeah.
It's his entire character through and through. So it brings the theme into the plot, where it's like, the whole time, the audience, his family, these adversaries never expect him.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
It's
man.
not just like a straight story of guy who isn't really into the mafia slowly gets more and more into the mafia. I appreciate you highlighting that because I hadn't really thought about that. The fact that that theme has been brought into the plot.
Even the scene where they're planning it and it's Tom versus Sonny and they're fighting and like Sonny's like, we're gonna strike back. Tom's like, no, we're gonna stay cool. And Michael just like slips in the middle and he's like, he's full of rage because man, Al Pacino's got that silent rage,
quiet rage.
that quiet rage. But he's cool and collected, and he's like, "I'm gonna shoot them." And Sonny's like, "Oh, sweet summer child, like, no, you're taking it personal. You're taking it personal." And then he like explains like why we have to kill them.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Sonny, it's not personal. It's business."
It's
but he has
business.
his jaw clenched, and it's like you can't tell exactly what he's feeling, but it's so fucking
well,
intense.
clearly it is personal
Yeah, but I love it.
because it's like they didn't have to.
Kill
They,
them?
well, they like if they had a sort of a piece, they made it worse.
No, but I think like there was no peace. There was no peace to be had. You don't think they could have gotten Solazzo to chill?
Well, no,
Well,
because
but this
here's
is the whole
thing.
mafia thing. This is the whole mafia thing is that like if everyone just stops killing each other, then you don't have problems anymore. But because
No, but
they
that's
killed
what-
you, so you got to kill them, and
That's
now
what
they
the Don,
kill you.
That's what the Don wanted. The Don said there won't be a war. Nobody will want war, so they'll do these things to avoid war.
Right.
But then it's up to
But then they kill him.
after Solazzo. Yeah, they do that, and then but Solazzo
Or they don't kill him. They shoot him.
Solazzo says to Tom Hagen, "You need to convince Sonny to let this blow over. When he calms down, we're going to be business partners."
Right.
After I kill his dad, this hothead, and there's not going to be a war. You need to convince him that we're going to be business partners. And it looks like Tom Hagen might be able to handle that and do that until they find out. And this is the subtlety of this movie. They find out that the Don's still alive.
Yeah.
And there's no like dun dun dun. But you just see Hagen's face, like he just goes like, "Oh shit," and like leans back in his chair. It's like, how is he gonna do that now?
Yeah.
How could he possibly convince Sonny now that the Don is still here, the Don who just got shot by Solazzo? Hey, the guy just shot you. You refused to deal with him before. Let's deal with him now. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Do you think Tom Hagen is like disappointed in that moment?
No, I just think his job became impossible.
Oh, okay.
It's not necessarily disappointing. I think he's happy that Vito's alive.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But now he's like, oh, jeez.
I love that character. He's so cool.
Tom?
The consigliere, or whatever you say.
Yeah. Man,
The
they
Bene
do-
Gesserit.
They do so much with him. He's just
Like you guinea blah blah blah. And he's like, I'm German Irish. All right, my kraut Mick friend.
I like that sequence when he goes to Hollywood to help Johnny get the role in the movie, and he's just like he's so cool and level-headed. Robert Duvall brings so much dimension to the calmness, but you're like, what is he thinking? And he's just he's so out of it. But that
He's just cool, calm, collected.
He really is.
collected.
It really is just business. Like the
Yep.
guy's yelling and swearing at him and stuff, and he's just like, "Thank you for a lovely dinner." Like,
Yeah.
I've said my piece.
I
There's
love
no
all
more
the-
information to get. I'm out of here.
I love all the times where like shit's going down and he comes in and be like, we'll be in contact and I wanted to let you know that I have like an order to blah blah blah. And he's like speaking legalese to
Yeah,
these like
yeah, yeah.
criminals. And
Yeah.
there's
yeah.
Yeah, that actually made me wonder about another line that's almost a throwaway line. It's when they they're running into the hospital, like, because there's been no guards for the dawn.
Yeah.
And then it's after that interaction with the lighter. Then all the Corleones arrive, and they're all running into the building. McCluskey's there, and then Tom Hagen's like, look, all the guys running in, they are licensed private detectives, and they're all allowed to be here. And it looks like they're just the Corleone, like, bros.
Yeah.
And so first I thought, oh, is that a lie? But given that Tom Hagen exists, like, you adopted this poor boy and he's trained as a lawyer, and given what I know about, I don't know, like real gangs like Hell's Angels, I've heard that you get professionals in your ranks. So like they probably, and just like how Rammstein is all, professional pyrotechnicians on the stage, you get these dudes to actually be licensed private investigators, so they actually can legally be there.
I'm guessing that it's probably true. I love that scene too when like Michael's held the fort just long enough, and he's the captain is so frustrated that he punches him.
Yeah.
He's held, and then you see Tom roll up. Oh, that moment of relief.
He has got that bruise for a long time.
You don't feel anything in this movie. I can't stop feeling too much when I watch this movie.
And you really get a hard on for fraternity as well.
I do,
Where's your
but
heart
not
on?
when it's shitty people. There's no good people in this movie.
Tom Hagen's good.
I mean, sort of. He's like the best of the horrible people. I feel like when I watch
that's
a movie,
you on this podcast, pal.
when I watch a movie, when I watch TV shows or movies, I feel like I really need there to be at least one
Audience
morally
surrogate.
upstanding person for me to kind of like latch onto as a base.
I feel like you're bringing so much external morality in because like you don't see the people be. We don't see the people be bad people. Like you're just like that criminals are bad. Like you don't.
Well,
like,
they're mafia.
Yeah, but you don't see Vito. Like what do you see
murder
Vito
people
do
for no reason?
What do you see Vito do that you're like that makes him a bad person?
What do I see Vito do?
Yeah, because you're just like, oh, he's mafia. I must not like him. He's doing stuff. I know he's doing stuff.
Well, I know for a fact that he's killed people who didn't deserve to be killed.
Oh, I
know for mafia's entire business strategy is racketeering. It's like they're not good people. There's no good mafia people.
So wait a second. Okay, granted, I'm not arguing with that.
Okay,
but like in a movie where
wait.
This is why we should cover like There Will Be Blood or Nightcrawler.
I love There Will Be Blood.
He's an asshole
because there's good people in that movie.
Who's good in that movie?
Oh, what?
Who's
the
good?
people that he screws over.
You like watching
And
good
I
people
feel
get
like
screwed over?
I feel like okay, no. Here's the problem. It's not that there are like the main characters are bad people or whatever. Because I enjoy There Will Be Blood. I enjoy like a dark arc. A good fall. But I think that the movie needs to be like explicit about the fact that this is not good. What we are.
Oh, it can't glorify it.
It can't glorify it. I don't like when, and this is it comes back to like why I didn't like Licorice Pizza because it's like you can make a story about people with an age gap and like have them having a romance or whatever. As long as you don't glorify it. And so this is like, mafia movies they annoy me because mafia people are not cool. They're fucking losers. They think that they can, exist in a society and not participate. It's like, it's
You think they glorified the arc of Michael in this movie? I think the storyline with Kay, the character, his
to me,
girlfriend,
I think that
he's shown to be an asshole.
I think that the movie tries to make him seem cool. And I think obviously
Michael?
Oh yeah.
I don't think so.
What are you talking about?
I think the whole point is to
Michael's
be
a fucking badass in this movie.
at the beginning. I think like he's a really cunning, intelligent person, but I don't think there's many points in which he's a good person except like maybe with Apollina. Like
you don't see him like face the ramifications of any wrong thing that he does.
I mean, okay,
he
so
only wins.
that's fair when you look at it just through the lens of this, but you also see him lose his humanity. Like I feel like by the end of this movie, he's less of a human. Like he's less of a he started this movie as a good man and he ends it as a bad man. So he does lose.
But the only inkling that you see of that is the way that his wife looks at him at the very end. Every other time that he is, it's like it's a tragedy in that he has gone from being like from trying to be sort of a morally upstanding citizen and like make a life away from the mafia and try and turn his family's business into something legitimate. He's gone from that into just being like, yeah, I just murdered a million people.
So to me, I think the dimension of it that you're missing is that the movie is taking the mafia from glory, bro, loyalty, family time to crime. And it's like the movie starts.
No.
I totally disagree. Let me finish, please.
No, sorry. You said that that's what I'm saying.
Because I think
that's
to me,
not what I'm saying.
It's I think I think that the movie starts with the wedding for the point of being like, hey, the mafia's a good time. We're having a good time. And it ends with like a series of murders with him like, I believe in God. Bang, bang. I renounce Satan. Bang, bang. And I think the point is to
Which is
take
a great
it from,
sequence.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
but I think the point is to take us from like, hey, it's good time, family time, to like, we are now like in the era of mafia has changed. We are now crime lords. It's not mafia, it's crime. And they're taking it from like the legendary era to like the more grounded in our reality.
This is what's so annoying to me. There's no good mafia era.
But I
the
think,
mafia are
Wholesome
horrible
mafia.
criminals. It's like maybe they're killing more people than at some times than others.
I don't disagree, but I think if you examine this movie in the greater scheme of American society, it's about how American society has changed. And even in the sense that like maybe there was no good era and it's just the past that we glorify and we're like that. And I think in that sense, that's what the movie is trying to do. We're like, the past mafia, that was the good mafia.
I think that's corroborated by the movie. Isn't there like Calabrese?
But it's not. But I don't think the movie is saying that's true. It's saying that that's how people see it.
I want to validate what David.
There's a line in the movie where he's like, "These kids these days don't respect anything."
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously they have their internal code of conduct where it's like they have their morality, which is stupid. But I think I want to validate what you were saying, David, which is that the value for me of this movie exists in its ability to depict this reality of America at that time, where there were these Italian cultural enclaves where, and we're diving into that and discovering, okay, this is what's important to these people. This is what their experience was like. Family is literally everything to them. And so I appreciate it as sort of like a sociological look at that like segment of American society at that time in history. But I feel like that's sort of in the background, and at the forefront is this sort of like, look how fucking cool these mafia people are. Oh, Michael's becoming the badass Godfather, and like, yeah, it's a tragedy, and obviously he's a criminal, and you shouldn't be a mafia person, but look how cool he is.
I think you would like even less the Scorsese mafia.
Oh, there's so much more like
that.
Yeah,
Goodfellas and
more
Casino.
I've seen Goodfellas, I've seen Casino. I don't like.
Because I agree. There's a lot of mafia movies that I feel that way. Like Scarface is kind of the same way. Even though he dies at the end, it's a lot about like, look how sick Scarface is, man. Whereas I don't feel that with Michael Corleone. And I feel like maybe with the context of the other movies, where it's so clearly he's the villain.
I haven't seen them either. I haven't seen 2 or 3.
Because it's not like he like gets better. It's like he's getting worse.
Right, right.
Whoa, spoiler alert.
When you would say like, is it more of a clear?
It's clear like he's a
like
bad guy.
The moral is that
and like
don't do this.
And I mean, hey, I don't want to give spoilers because I think we should do the second one, and I really want to rewatch the third because they re-edited it.
Oh,
and so there's
how significantly?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I've only seen the third one.
We're talking Justice League levels here?
No, I don't think so. But it's Francis Ford Coppola was involved, and apparently they fix a lot. A big thing they do is they cut Maria, which is Sofia Coppola's character, who sucked because she's not an actor, and she only took the role because Winona Ryder dropped out at the last minute. Right. So apparently they cut her quite a bit, which will be interesting because she's kind of like one of the main characters.
I have a question. The fact that Michael enlists Carlo, is that his name? The abusive husband, his sister's husband. At the beginning of the movie, the Don says, like he's not going to be part of the family business. And Carlo throughout the movie wants to be part of the family business. Then he beats up the sister a bunch of times. And then when Michael comes to power, Michael brings him in as one of his like right-hand men. But then that turns out to be, was that a
trick the whole time?
Trick the whole time? Because then he ends up killing him. Is that only because he figures out that he fingered Sonny?
I think it's implied by what Michael says that like everyone thought it was Carlo, and everyone blames him. So I don't think it was like Michael figuring it out. I think it's just like it was on the back burner, and he's like, I got to do these other moves, and then at the right moment I'll kill him.
But why did he bother even enlisting him?
I think it's because I'm not 100% sure.
Because the reason I bring this up now is because like your debate of whether Michael is portrayed as an asshole strongly enough. Enlisting Carlo would be a big signal that he's an asshole because it's like you don't even care about how big of a piece of shit this guy was to your
It definitely seems strange to me. Like I wrote down, I was like, wait, why is Carlo in the family business now? Like they didn't want him in there. Or,
I forgot about it.
Vito didn't want him.
Yeah. What's the rule? And I forgot that he was around. But I do like that scene when Michael is like, "Oh, we're gonna fly, and you're never gonna come back, and that's gonna be it." And then they just kill him in the back seat.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
I will say that like for all my misgivings about the moral takeaway of the movie or lack thereof, I think that part of the reason that it bothers me so much is because the movie does such a good job with Michael's arc. And Al Pacino does such a good job in the role. Like, he is magnetic. I think I was like, I'd seen this movie before, but I had forgotten how like much like a calm, good kid he looks like at the beginning. I'm just like, that's Al Pacino?
Yeah.
Because like what we know of Al Pacino now, he's like, he talks like this all the time. And it sounds like he's been smoking for 50 years.
He really
has been.
deserved the spot in like his kind of iconic status that he earned. He earned it. He really is great.
Lauren was like, wait, is that Al Pacino? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, Al Pacino was hot? And I'm like, yeah.
Of course.
Look at this guy.
But it's all in that subtlety too, because like there's never a point in the movie where I feel like his character is taking a jump. It feels like it's just like a slow, like let's say decline into where he is, and I'm like, there's never like a leap in logic or like a did he do that? It's like no, everything he's doing, like we're getting there and we get there. But when you look at him at the beginning and the end, it's like the way he just looks at people, like the rage. It's so different.
He's got an intensity.
Yeah,
it's all because of that Apollonia. What's up with that part of the movie, man?
It
slows down for sure.
I guess that's definitely the part of the movie that feels the most literary to me.
Right.
And I've seen this movie many, many times, so I know it's coming. So I'm ready for the big exhale. I think everything leading up to that, there's so much tension, so much like excitement, and then it like very quickly releases. I actually don't like the montage where it's like the war is happening and it's like kind of the newspaper clippings, and then we're in Italy. That middle section, I'm like, all right. But in Italy,
there's your 0.1 off right there.
Yeah. Well, I have like a couple things that take off like 0.02s.
There's 9.99.
There's a spreadsheet.
But then once we get to Italy, I like that change in pace and like kind of we get to re-examine him from a different side, because we've seen the rising action of Michael Corleone becoming a violent man, becoming a killer for his family, not just his country. And then we get this like moment of peace where he's I love when the bar owner or the cafe owner and his henchmen are like having a conversation. He's like, oh, all the beautiful women. Oh, there was this one in the purple dress. And you can see the owner's just like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
He loses it. And the thing that's awesome is like these other guys are like, yo, we gotta go.
Yeah.
And they're holding guns. And they're like, we gotta get the heck out of here. Hey, mamma mia.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no. I come from this privileged prince of a crime lord family.
Yes.
I'm ready to just like sit here.
I'm an exiled prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do appreciate
Send the man out. And then when the guy comes out, his suspenders are down.
Yeah.
Like that's what you do when you're really mad.
He's got the girl's two brothers behind him too. He's like, hey, you want to date our daughter, sister?
He calms down and he signals that to the audience, so they put his suspenders back on. Okay, I'm a rational man again, but for a second there,
the suspenders were about to come off.
They did.
Yeah. I like the Italy sequence just as a way to sort of show that he is like connecting with the Italian part of him, because like he's been the son who's like trying to go off and do something different, and then he has to go to Italy and he reconnects with his roots, and like that's part of, I appreciate the role that plays in bringing him back into the family fold and like making him more attached to the success or lack thereof of the family.
It's not going to win over modern audiences though when it's like, I basically ghosted my girlfriend, my longtime girlfriend. Then I went to this little town and just like basically got an arranged marriage. Like this, by all accounts, teenager's dad was like, yeah, you're going to marry this guy now.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I'm like, how old is she? She must be a teenager.
She looks like 15.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, it's like, I feel like it's an interesting portrayal of the importance that family plays to Italian Americans at that time in history. But like, it's also just really annoying to me because I'm like, what did I write down?
What's the matter, you?
When family is so important, you dip on your girlfriend for weeks. I wrote that at first when he was like, I have to go. When am I going to see you? I don't know. But at that point, he doesn't know that he's going to be gone for a year. He thinks that he might have to like lay low for a couple weeks. And then he asks Sonny, how long am I going to have to be gone? And he's like, a year, at least a year. And I'm like, and he's like, I'll call Kay. And I'm like, he's not even going to talk to Kay? Yeah. I'm just like, this is so fucked that you care about your family to the point where...
Well, listen, dude, it's the 40s. There's no texting, okay? It's the kind of era where you're like, hey, we should go out sometime. Meet me here exactly 7 p.m. at
Right.
this
Yeah.
phone booth in a week, and I'll be wearing red.
Or the family's in dire straits. The phone bill, maybe they couldn't afford it.
I just mean like, I mean he could phone her.
For sure.
Yeah,
But I think like that's to me is part of the like we're not glorifying Michael. Like he is an asshole, and I think it's part of the idea of like everything for the family. And I think there's like a
See, I don't.
I've heard it said too that this is like a capitalist like a criticism of American culture with capitalism at the center of it, where it's like it's all about money. Everything in this movie is about money, and like the mafia is just a different kind of like illegitimate business, but it's business for
Right.
money. And so to me, it's like everything in this movie that like is about people's feelings or anything like it doesn't matter if it's not the family.
That's another theme that I really appreciate in this movie is particularly it's highlighted by the scene that he has once he comes back when he's talking to Kay and he's saying that he's going to work for his family and he's going to take the business legitimate. So don't worry, blah, 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 and she's like, how could you do this? It's like they're horrible. They're criminals or whatever. And he's like, it's just like working for presidents or whoever. And she's like, but presidents don't have men killed. And he looks at her and he's just like, because she called him naive. And he's like, now who's being naive, Kay? And it's like, I love that part because it's emphasizing that like, yeah, institutions can be corrupt and there is horrible behavior happening at all levels. And it's like to think that you can fully trust any institution or to think that anyone is involved in a completely morally upstanding operation is naive. And so it's like, can you really blame the Italian Americans for coming here and starting up their own enclave and doing things their way and like, doing things the way that they think is right, and not like going along with an American system that is clearly also super corrupt in many, many ways. So I like that they're emphasizing that parallel and how, it brings us into their internal logic of like, this is why it makes sense to us. Part of what I looked up about the history of the mafia is like, part of why it was like a Sicilian thing and not like a broader Italian thing is because Sicily was an island, and during the transition from feudalism to capitalism, I guess. I don't even know what the next stage is, but when they were kind of transitioning away from feudalism and their like land ownership was increasing, there were all these little communities across the island that ended up not having the protection of like a baron or a lord or whatever to like protect them from bandits.
Yeah.
And so then these bands of bandits ended up kind of like coalescing and being like, hey, we know those guys and we can protect you from them. So then there were all these different like families, groups of bandits who kind of like coalesced into these mafia families because they knew the other mafia people, and there was like interdynamics, and it was essentially a new feudalism, but instead of like a formal system with lords, you had these like unofficial families.
That's the origin of government, is just a monopoly on violence that
Right.
protects property
Right.
after the agricultural revolution. Like, oh, it's really shitty and costly to get robbed.
Yeah.
We should stop that.
Yeah. So like once I kind of understand it from that perspective, I can appreciate the idea of mafia a little bit more and why it's interesting, because it's like they're just their own little kingdoms. But it still bothers me to think that people watch these movies and think that the mafia people are cool when it's like you don't live in 1500s Sicily anymore.
I think
you're in America.
yeah,
We have to work together.
To me, I feel like that's a baggage that you're bringing in, where you're like,
Oh, it
I
100%
I know
is.
there's people that are misunderstanding the purpose of the movie, and that sucks. I agree, and I think that there's an argument to be made that the movie might be at fault, because I feel like that with like Wolf of Wall Street. I'm like, people that think like, oh, this is a sick movie, dude. I'm like, you suck, and you're
exactly-
misunderstanding
that's
the
all I'm
purpose of the
saying.
movie. But I think in a movie like Wolf of Wall Street, I think it does fail to like bring down the story. Like, it's like, oh yeah, he gets punished, but like really they're still glorifying like the crazy shit, man. Whereas this, I don't think they're doing as much wrong in that sense.
I mean, I would agree with you that Wolf of Wall Street is more of an offender in that regard, but I don't think that the difference is that stark when you factor in like the cultural and time differences into account, like when you take those into account, because it's like Wolf of Wall Street had more like memes and stuff, and there was like, yeah, we're going crazy and having crazy parties, dude, because like that's like 2010s, 2000s culture or whatever, and like you didn't do that especially if you were an Italian mafia
Didn't
guy.
see Fredo close enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you see Sonny
Sonny
like
does
going
that.
crazy and stuff. So yeah, I mean,
Wait, what do you see Sonny go crazy though?
Well, in the wedding,
I
he
just
has
mean
an-
like he
Oh,
sleeps
yeah, it's like
around
a-
and
yeah.
cheats on his wife.
he has an
and-
extramarital
Yeah.
affair.
but it's the same
Yeah.
lady.
well, yeah. At least he's monogamous, just with two different
He's
people.
loyally unloyal.
Yeah. But I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to shit on the movie because I watched it and I didn't enjoy it that much. But at the same time, I understand that everyone else thinks it's like it's a brilliant movie. It's one of it's consistently put forward as one of the best movies of all time. And I don't want to argue with that per se. Like, I don't think that it's a bad movie. Just like I said, Licorice Pizza wasn't a bad movie. I think that it's like a well-constructed piece of art. I just disagree with a cultural understanding of art like this as being intensely valuable when its contribution to society is potentially negative.
Well, yes, but also no. I think like we haven't even talked about like the artistic merit of the film on a technical level. Like
Let's do it.
The editing is dope.
It's incredible editing. The way that they're doing like rhythmic editing and creating expectation, and like these moments where you're literally tensing up because like the pacing of the editing is changing, and it's like it's fast, and then there's like just an extra frame in one shot, and you're like, and then it'll release the tension. Like this is a masterclass in editing. Like we're not going to get into it too much. I'm not a super knowledgeable on the editing of this movie, but there's like literally books on the editing of The Godfather. I can talk more about the lighting because I think they do an excellent job using lighting to tell the story.
100%.
Like even in the opening scene, the way that it's lit, it's all top lit and it's not soft. It's kind of harsh, so you can't see eyes very well. But then you still get a little glint in like the characters that you need to sees eyes. But it's all about like this power and like mystery of the people, and they're communicating this like discomfort through the lighting, and that's consistent throughout the movie. Every scene, the lighting is changing a little bit, but it's communicating this stuff, and like, man, yeah.
I disagree with you that every frame of this movie is necessary and nothing could be cut and everything is purposeful. I think there's at least a couple scenes where I was like, this is they should get
Which are?
there's a part where like he's getting married in Italy and Sonny's beating up Carlo, and I'm like, this is just
That's a long
that was
scene.
so bad. You guys,
That was awful.
the fighting was like, I did not believe it for a second.
there's a swing and a miss in
there
there.
there are like 2 or 3 swings
Yeah.
and misses.
Same with when Sonny kicks the crap out of Carlo.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, I thought you guys were talking about when Carlo beats the crap out of Carlo.
That
No.
that part's rough.
That was awful.
Holy shit.
Yeah, there's a few swings.
Yeah.
There's a couple good hits though when he takes the lid of the
Yeah, that was awesome.
I was like, yeah, that looked like it hurt.
That was awesome.
It just didn't look real in the slightest. I mean, and the, like part of that is like the time period. I don't know, I don't know. I feel like I've seen better fight scenes from like older movies like that. I just didn't believe that he was actually beating him up at all.
It's because it's not about the fight. It's about like the scene and like doing it in public and showing how off the chain Sonny is.
Unhinged.
Unhinged he is. He's like he'll
Yeah.
beat someone in the middle of the street in front of kids because
Yeah.
he's so
Yeah,
pissed.
and that was awesome. He's so resourceful. He's grabbing the garbage can
Yeah.
lid. He's throwing him over this little
I
fence.
Because then you believe it that like he leaves the compound when they're in the middle of a war by himself because he's unhinged, and then that's like they've used their opportunity, they assassinate him, and that's part of the thing. I agree. It'd be nice if it was like really good stunt coordination and like, oh man, those fights look awesome, but it's like who fucking
I
cares?
actually did. I wouldn't say I didn't believe it for a second. When he first has him against the wall and gives him a body shot, I was like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
But then, like,
There's
2 punches later, there's a complete swing and a miss that gets a reaction from Carlo, like, "Ooh!" But it didn't actually hit him.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think
kinda
from a directorial perspective, I can appreciate the decision to include that scene and to make it kind of like one long shot and like everyone standing around watching this like beatdown happen. Like I can definitely appreciate that, and I if it was in a modern movie, I think I wouldn't, with none of the technical issues, then I wouldn't really have a problem with it. But I think that I don't know how to. This is a problem I have with the movie generally as well. Sometimes, not all the time, but like I don't know whether to interpret what I'm seeing and give it a lot of leeway because it's old, and I'm like, maybe this is just the best they could do at that time, or whether this was actually just a bad execution on this, and they totally could have done this and not have it seem so fake.
Do you have any examples of other stuff like that?
Not off the top of my head.
Fair enough.
It's not perfect, but I think it's good. It's a long beatdown.
Yeah.
There's another scene that I think could have went. Do we really need to see Paul getting shot? Paul, I believe, is the guy who is the he was the one who was sick. He was supposed to be a guard on
Oh
duty.
yeah, he
when
betrayed Vito.
he betrays them. So then they drive him out, and when he's taking a whiz, they shoot him.
Oh yeah.
We didn't need to say that. We could have just heard about that.
I didn't even know who that was, honestly. Like
We're not invested in any of the characters.
When
in
you
the
said
I think
Polly,
we're
I was like,
inve-
oh, Polly's the guy
Yeah.
who called in sick.
I
But I
think-
didn't know that when they killed that person,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was
To
Polly.
me, that's
Yeah.
a scene about building up the guy who will be loyal to the family.
Calabrese? Cremenza.
Cremenza, yeah.
The name that we can't get throughout this whole
I'm sorry.
podcast.
I'm really sorry, guys. I'm
Caliente.
trying to be better about
We
the
could have
names.
Googled it. We didn't.
Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, but at that point in the movie, we don't care about him. I mean, maybe it's to build him up for future, but I don't think it's really worth it.
It might
I
be
just
a-
think it could have been a deleted
It might have
scene.
been a rewatchable thing because I really enjoyed this scene on that watch. I love
It's
the
a
way
cool
it's
scene.
framed. Yeah.
And the guy's taking a whiz. It's cool. It's you know what else is really cool? I've never seen the Statue of Liberty like wait in the background of a field
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, that was a cool
Cool.
shot.
It's totally
Because
cool.
it's like, then you know, it's like, oh, they actually shot this in New York or whatever.
You just don't need it though. And
Yeah.
when the movie's like 3 hours long, it's like they could have. I think
Yeah.
they could take 20 minutes out of this movie.
I don't think you can take 20 minutes. I
Really?
think you could take like 10 minutes.
All right.
Him in Italy?
No, I think like it's hard. We're a modern
You
audience.
need the boobs shot.
guaranteed. Yes. No, I think like
Those are some weird boobs.
it's hard, and maybe it's
How dare you? She's just a kid.
I know. I'm sorry.
what the fuck
I'm sorry,
are we talking about?
Apollonia.
Yo, do you think that that wedding sequence and like him marrying this girl and then her getting killed in front of his eye? And by the way, you can see her leg hanging out of the car.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
messed
really?
This
up.
movie's brutal.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
But do you think that is really necessary for how we feel about Michael or how we understand his arc to be?
I think so because I think it's one of those things. If it was just a straight line down, it wouldn't be as interesting an arc. But there's kind of a moment where you're like, maybe he's not going to be so bad. He did this thing for his family. He's learning to love. He like maybe the reason why he was kind of shitty to Kate is that he wasn't really in love with her. But I think
He's
giving
not
him,
Italian. You know?
maybe giving him this hope and this moment of like where he seems truly happy because they're cutting from like the war to him, and so like I can't remember the exact cut, but Sonny is saying like this thing is happening, like this is awful, and then it cuts to him and his wife driving, and it's like beautiful and it's happy, and so they need to give him this moment of goodness before they can take it all away and make you believe why he will be so vile.
Yeah, it's like because they do that to him. It's not like she just dies in an accident.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's just like, okay, now
Yeah.
it's personal.
Oh my gosh, that whole lead up to the explosion, like it's so good. I mean, I know it's happening. But when his henchman is just like walking away and he's like, "Hey, like what's going on?" He goes to the house and the friendly henchman is like, "Oh, I think she wants to drive to you or whatever." And he's eating and then he goes and he sees the guy and he sees the car and he sees the guy and the guy just like
Takes off.
takes off and he just
He knows.
no. That no gets me, man. Sometimes like it can be so cheesy car explosion stuff, but that one I'm like, oh god,
Yeah.
gets me.
And
deep in my
she
soul.
was an innocent.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's totally like,
As soon as it
Annealed.
cut to the guy walking away, I was just like, oh, she's gonna die.
Well, yeah.
yeah. And same with him. That's
Yeah.
what he felt too, right? Same page as him.
Yeah, but I knew it like before he knew it.
Oh, okay.
What do you guys think of Fredo? I love what they do with Fredo so much. He's so pathetic.
really?
Even like when Vito's getting assassinated, or you think he's getting assassinated, and he like comes out of the car and he drops the gun, and then he's
Yeah.
just rocking there. And like Vito needs to be taken to the hospital right now, and he's like rocking. He's like, I can't, and he's just like panicked. And then you see him be so pathetic. But then when you come back to him in Reno, and he's like, oh, hey, Michael,
He
how's
has like
it
an
going?
ascot on.
Yeah. But then like Michael so quickly just like takes him down a peg. He's like, we're here for business. Like women banned, gone.
Yeah.
And then like the power dynamic that he has. Oh man, I love Fredo.
David,
I think
I'm
he's
honestly-
such
I'm
an
Fredo's the
interesting
oldest
character.
brother, right?
I don't know if he's the oldest. I think he might be middle.
Yeah.
But he's older than Michael.
I think
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, he's
I
definitely
think it's
old.
like Sonny Fredo, Michael.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you enjoyed this movie, Michael. Or what's your
Michael.
name? David?
Yep.
Uh,
David Corleone. changing
David
it.
Corleone. Yeah, because I feel like as you're describing all this, I was just like, yeah, that was in the movie, but I just didn't. But I just didn't care about it.
I'm
You know,
saying
Like-
you gotta watch it again, man.
I
no,
like.
what? No, it's like I watched the movie. I was the only thing I was paying attention to was the movie. I think I was just like you're saying that I'm bringing in this baggage of like a moral judgment on it, which is like, yeah, I am. But then at the same time, it's like a lover of the movie is also bringing in baggage of
For sure.
thinking that it's like a really, really good movie ahead of time. You
Yeah,
know?
his baggage is he watched it before and liked it, and your bag.
No,
Shut
I
up.
just-
So the first.
What?
yeah,
No,
the
it's
first,
like
Don't you want to hear the first story the first time I watched it? It's like Saving Private Ryan.
Sorry, I'm not trying to say that your baggage is bad.
I'm not trying to tell you to shut up. I don't know why I did that.
Different people come at movies with different lenses, and they're both valid, is what I'm saying.
You have glasses.
Yes. And I need
I want to hear this story. I want to hear this.
No, it was when I was like in high school and I had an iPod video and I was like, I Googled the list of like, what are the best movies of all time? And I put like Saving Private Ryan, this on my movie. So the first time I watched it was like that 2-inch screen.
Right.
And like, I remember being in my bed, lying backwards and looking at it 2 inches from my face and being like absolutely like brought into the movie. And I didn't understand all the details and all the relationships and how they all intertwine.
Yeah.
But like this movie has a magic of like pulling you in. And like, I felt like the Reno stuff, it's a setup for the next movie because the next movie starts in Reno.
So this is the part that I think feels the most literary, where the main plot is kind of, I guess if the main plot is Mike coming to power, then it's not over. But it seems like the general thrust of the movie was all this stuff with Sollozzo and stuff. And by the end, you're just like, now we're going to buy this hotel and now over here. And it just kind of seems...
I feel like that stuff is better on rewatch because you start to like be able to tie it all together and understand what it's leading to.
If you watch the second one, you mean?
With the second one, but I think even just rewatching the first one, maybe with the second one, it helps all shape it into like one arc.
It seems like an epilogue.
Yeah. Well,
seems like an epilogue.
You sound like what I sound like when I talk about Star Wars sometimes. Whereas, like, if this was a Star Wars movie, I could understand someone being like, yeah, that whole, like, casino bit, like, it's not necessary. But I'm like, but it's necessary because in the next movie, and it sets up this character, and it, like, shows that they have this dynamic. But it's like, if I already don't care about the characters, and I don't care about the universe, and I don't care about what's going on here, then...
No, but I think
that's not a plus, you know?
It does still serve this movie. It's enhanced by the context of the trilogy. No, of the 2 movies. Fuck the 3rd movie.
Speaking of enhanced, I was enhanced halfway through this movie.
Nice.
Oh,
interesting.
That's awesome, James.
Thanks, man. Sound mix in this movie is pretty tight, by the way.
It's good. Yeah.
It's good. There's times where like you can just hear fire hydrants in the surround mix.
It's definitely
nice.
We've gotten better at sound mixing than since the 70s in terms of technical stuff, but they do a good job telling the story. Like I was watching a breakdown of which is arguably the best scene, which is the restaurant scene where Michael is gonna kill Sollozzo and the captain.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of my nitpicks is the sound of
hold on. Is it time for
No.
Okay. It's not.
Well, is it?
No.
The wine cork, but in the breakdown he's talking about how they're using that enhanced sound to bring you into hyper focus of the reality of the scene. And he goes to the washroom and he has that great scene where he like kind of doesn't find the gun. He eventually gets it. And then he pauses in between the 2 doors. And he's kind of framed in a weird way. You just see the back of his head and you can see him pause and hesitate. And in that moment, the sound of the train going overhead is really brought up in the mix. And it's like, it's not just like a world building thing. It's like we're ramping up the intensity and we're placing the audience in this world to like tie him to Michael. And it's almost like you're kind of like, it's almost like a 3rd-person video game moment where you're like behind the head and you're just experiencing it. Mm-hmm. And then you're not sure what he's going to do because he leaves the bathroom. And he's been told, you step out of the bathroom and you bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, he doesn't do that.
But there's like that 30 seconds where he goes and he sits down and then they're continuing the conversation, but you can see he's like clearly, I love that dolly in on him. The slow dolly on him, like kind of just like listening, but like his eyes are just darting everywhere. And you're not sure, like, does he have the gun? Does he not? And then like at that moment, they bring back the train sound and it elevates and it's higher and it's a higher pitched one. And then it builds and builds and builds into almost like a jump cut, but not a jump cut, but like a hard cut of the bullet. Like you don't really see him pull out the gun and like point it. You just hear like, you see him move and then bang.
Right.
And it's reminiscent of the wine being uncorked.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like they're using those 2 sounds to heighten, bring you into that moment, and then they release it all at this crazy climax of the scene. And there's no music in that entire scene until both people are dead and he walks away, drops the gun, and then it's just that triumph, the trumpet like
when there's no music and something tense is happening and there's no music, you just start zeroing in on all the sounds to see what they mean. You know, it's what you would do if you thought someone was in your house or something and you heard a noise. Right?
No, that scene, like the way they build the tension and releasing that scene is really, really, really good. Like I like just not knowing whether he actually got the gun or not. Like, yeah.
I love that shot of the captain after he shot Sollozzo and he's just like, huh? He's like kind of dumbfounded.
Yo, I wanted to say this movie has some of like the worst death. Like, this is the only movie. This guy is the only guy in history who gets shot in the head and then makes a face.
Yeah, and
he
then
gets shot in the head and he's like, whoa.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, this feels so weird to have a bullet in my brain.
You're dead. Or maybe it's like realistic. I don't know.
But that's the thing. Movies have told us that like it's over pretty
You get
quick.
shot,
But like
you're
I
over.
don't actually know.
There's some bad.
I'm pretty sure.
death.
Yeah, there's some, you can get shot and then you can kind of go.
And then he like the whole table gets upset when he lands on it. It flips over.
The death I think is the silliest is Sonny's.
He's a little like he's tapping on his own body, kind of.
Or just keeps crawling.
You know what I love though?
He's doing the thing.
When he's lying
Tapping
on the ground, just massacred, and then dude runs up, kicks him in the face.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Rude.
That's in Simpsons, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, is it?
Probably.
That's so
The
funny.
Simpsons did a lot of parodies of this movie.
He's a pincushion. He's like, psh.
It sounds like we're probably on Nitpicks and Nitpicks. Nitpicks. Marlon Brando looks super fake in this movie.
I don't think
Like, I didn't believe that he was an old man for a second. Or
Oh, I
like,
did.
Or
I
at
did.
least I didn't, because I think he was middle-aged or whatever when they did this. But like, I just didn't believe that his cheeks were actually like this. It's so obvious he's sticking his jaw out on purpose.
Yeah, and Michael does that too, hey?
Does
Did
he?
you kind of notice that Pacino also kind of has his his
Maybe
jaw
when
I
he's
was
angry.
wondering when his jaw was tied. I was wondering if that was like a visual tie-in to his father, where it's like they have a weird mouth thing, but maybe not.
Every scene that I saw him in, I was just like, this is Marlon Brando doing a bit. Like, you guys didn't feel this way?
I didn't
only
feel that
from the
way.
side. He looks really weird from the side, but from the front is alright.
I feel like it's one of those things too. Like at the time, it was probably magical, and it's like Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury, where like when it happened, everyone's like, "Wow, he looks just like him," and then in 20 years, we'll be like, "Oh."
Well,
And
I
so-
guess so. I don't know. Yeah, but I think that's the thing, is that was he doing an impression of somebody? Or was this just like a...
I think it was a character choice.
decided that
Marlon
my
Brando's a
character's
weird
gonna
dude.
talk like this. I
Yeah.
don't have a voice.
you know, that's
Something happened.
the voice you use for unbox therapy.
It's a Godfather.
Here's my
I got squished.
related hit pick is his death scene in the garden is a beautiful scene.
Oh, God.
I would love to go out that way.
Yeah.
I would love to die like that.
Hanging out with your grandkid.
He's just smiling, playing hide and seek with his grandson on a beautiful sunny day, and then just falls over.
Oh, this is so funny. I wrote down that the scene was a mess.
Talk
Like,
about it.
I agree with you. That,
Have
like,
you ever tried to shoot a scene with a 3-year-old? It's crazy they got the footage they got.
sure. I mean,
You
good
never
job.
see toddlers in movies.
Good job, guys.
They're awful people.
Yeah, good-
I live with one.
Good job.
You can't get her to do anything.
Good job, Francis. No, I mean, like, I agree with you. It would be a nice way to go out, and like maybe the emotion of that, kind of like the beauty of that scenario, maybe got you. But I thought that the cutting was a mess. Like, it was just like disorienting in like a not a good way. Like, it seemed unintentional that it was that disorienting.
It's interesting to me. I hear you. I do feel the disorientation of that scene, but to me, it feels intentional because like he's playing with this kid, but then he is like building up towards a heart attack, and
Yeah.
so it's like I think it's to like bring the audience in on that, where it's like, oh, something's off, something's
Yeah.
going on, and he collapses and dies.
I think that there really just has to be like a lens of what do you call it? I always forget the word for this, but like you extend
A charitable view.
charitable view, yeah, something like that. You have to give it some leeway for being a movie from set 1972.
or he
I feel-
just likes it.
And it's like obviously everyone does that to a certain extent. Like when I sit down to watch this movie, I'm not expecting to see CGI T-Rexes, although
didn't
that
s-
would be cool.
You didn't see the dragon?
But like, I just feel like there are times when that leeway runs out, and I don't have any more slack to give it, and it's just annoying to me that this is like as bad as it is.
Yeah. It's either intentionally discombobulating or they were shooting with a toddler and they got
it
the
was
shots
tough.
they got.
It's always hard to.
And also, I feel like I also was just like, I was seeing Marlon Brando in that moment be like, "Oh, I'm stuck. Okay, I'm dying now. This is a part of the movie where I'm gonna die. Here it comes. Oh, I'm dead. Bing, bang, boom, bada bing," which apparently was coined in this movie by Sonny.
oh, really?
Bada bing.
You know what? There's
That's
a few
where this
things
came
like
from.
that.
I don't even think that's in the script because the subtitles I had, they were like stylized like the film. So it was clear like these are the
Yeah.
subtitles of the film, but there were
They were
some
wrong
lines, they were
all
wrong.
the time.
I know!
They were so wrong.
It was
I
so
couldn't even
annoying.
look at them because
Yeah.
they took too much mental energy to like to translate what I was hearing.
But honestly,
and seeing.
I understand why they did that because it's like I feel like everyone's using all these like mannerisms and stuff that are hard to kind of like write down. There'd be a million apostrophes.
No, but it wasn't even like that.
To me, it felt like it was the subtitles were the script.
That's
And
right.
there was like a little bit of
improvisation.
Yeah, that's what
Here's
I'm
a
saying.
question. In the scene, I think you watched the same copy as me, so you don't have the answer for this. But when they're maybe you know, because in the scene when he's about to shoot them in the restaurant, they're talking Italian and there's no subtitles.
Yeah, there's not supposed to be subtitles.
Okay.
It's a stylistic choice where Coppola wanted you to hyper focus on how they're saying the things, not
Yeah.
what they're saying.
And you get what they're saying, and
Yeah.
it totally works. It's just the kind of thing where since I'm not watching the Blu-ray, I don't know for sure if I'm
Yeah.
missing out.
I hear you. I think in a theater that'd be a better one where you're like, I don't have to worry about that. Hit pick tied to that scene. The way that the camera is positioned to isolate the captain from them, where it's a scene of them over their right shoulder and you don't see them, and then it's like he's just totally a separate entity because it's about these two men, these Italians and the Italian feud. I like the way the camera is placed in that scene.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, totally.
He's Irish. He doesn't belong there.
Yep.
Or Scottish or something.
Yep.
Oh, here's another sweet hit pick is suspense. So Luca Brasi, he ends up getting killed, right?
Yeah.
He goes to that bar to make a deal to like pretend to be defecting, and then he gets murdered. Prior to that scene, we see him putting on a bulletproof vest. If we did not see him get dressed in that way, the next scene where he eventually gets murdered would have zero suspense because we would think there's no danger.
Yeah.
He's going to walk over there, they're going to talk, and then the plot's going to play out, and he's
Yeah.
But because we see him put that on, we know that he thinks it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then now it's a suspenseful scene. That is just chef's kiss.
Yeah. I think that scene too is the most vicious kill to me. I like felt it the most. It's
Oh, yeah.
his gargling and
Stabbed his
stuff.
hand.
Yeah, the hand is really
Yeah.
visceral.
Oh, fiber wire death is the worst, man.
Oof.
The worst.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even use it when I played Hitman just because I thought it was just
Too
unethical.
vicious.
It was definitely shocking. Yeah.
My favorite
I
is
loved
just
it.
throwing the coin and then pushing people over ledges. In Hitman. Actually, no, it's always dressing up as people and like slowly getting up to them. Anyways,
Oh, no. This is the one I wanted to talk about because you're talking about they coined it in this movie. They coined it bada bing, bada boom. or
That's what
whatever.
Wikipedia said.
Well, because there's a part where Luca Brasi is dead and they have that package. It was the fish, and
Yep.
they're like, "What does it mean?" It means he sleeps with the fishes. I was
Yeah.
like, "That's so on the nose." What they would just like,
Wait,
if
what?
that-
do you- what?
like
do you
it
mean?
means he sleeps with the fishes. They would have just said if that movie was made today, they would have said it means he's dead.
and the audience would have been left to be like, oh, he's
Fish,
fish.
okay. They
Yeah.
used to-
Oh,
but like
yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just because New York guy saying he's sleeping with the fishes is just like it's like a cliche from my childhood because this movie
Yeah.
already
That's
exists,
possible.
right?
That's
Yeah.
possible.
There are definitely some parts of the
Like
movie
what
where
do
I'm just
New
like,
Yorkers say? They say, I'm walking here. They say sleep with the fishes. They say
yeah,
these
yeah,
are
it's
all
a-
from cinema
Yeah, it's a
history,
manner
right?
or it's a phrase. Yeah, I feel like there are a few times where I'm like, this is cheesy as hell. But like this was the not the first Mafia movie, but
The
The
Essential.
big
I think-
change in Mafia.
I think another thing that I read on Wikipedia was that like before The Godfather there were like 90 Mafia movies, and then after The Godfather to now there's been like 430 in Hollywood or something. So it's like it definitely started something.
Well, this was the biggest movie of its year too, and like to me, I love the idea that this was like the Spider-Man No Way Home of 1972. Like this was the biggest movie, and
The
it's,
feel good movie of the year.
It's obviously very different because
Yeah,
like the cinema has changed or Hollywood has changed, but the idea that like this was what people wanted to see makes me happy.
You know what makes
Sad today.
me happy is when let's talk about the head of the horse in the bed.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
The sweetest thing in that scene is how it starts off wide, which in theory gives you all the information. You're seeing the whole room.
Yep.
But there's things you're not seeing. And maybe it's because it's shitty resolution from 1972, but like when it zooms in and gets closer to him, you can see if you're looking, there's like little flecks of blood. Before it's like actually revealed that something's wrong,
Right.
there's like little flecks of blood that are actually visible the whole time. Like, you might just miss them.
Yeah, I never even seen them.
Rewatch, baby.
I like that reveal too because I remember the first time watching it, the dread of like, what is that blood?
Right,
What
right.
the
It's the
fuck is
It's
that?
the kind of thing like when he becomes alarmed, it's almost as if he smells anything. He smells it before he
yeah,
sees it.
totally.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
But that brings me to a nitpick, which is there's no goddamn way they could get that in his bed without him waking
know,
up.
I don't
Unless he
understand.
was drugged, was he?
Yeah, maybe
Maybe.
they drugged him.
Maybe
I mean,
the fact that they broke into his compound and cut a horse's head off, that's like they know mafia stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
It's
mafia
a crazy
stuff.
signal.
They have mafia power.
I don't
like to think
condone
that-
violence against animals, obviously, but I mean, as a signal to intimidate somebody, it's like it's hella crazy.
You have to clarify that you don't condone. It's cool, but not in like the way that I would do it in real life. Which is my whole thing.
I did eat horse once in Iceland at a sushi restaurant.
Oh
was it?
my god!
Probably not that
It was
good.
different.
It was probably really tough.
You ate
No, it
one animal and not a different one.
It was on a skewer.
Oh, yeah. Hit pick. One of my favorite quotes in the movie is when Sollozzo's talking with Tom, and he's like, I don't like violence. I'm a businessman. Blood is a big expense. I like how that ties into like the capitalism idea of the movie,
Right.
and I don't know, something about the way that's delivered. I'm like,
I had a bit of a hit pick in that scene too, where Sollozzo's trying to like sell them on this deal.
Yep.
Right. And I forget who it is. It's either the Don or it's a Tom or it's Sonny. They're listening to him and they're not saying anything back. And the tendency just with human psychology is like, if someone's not replying, then you just keep talking.
yeah.
And that happens in the scene. He just keeps running his mouth talking about this deal. And I just thought that is just so realistic.
Totally.
Right.
Naturalistic.
Totally.
Especially for Sollozzo.
I know. Like, shut up.
Everyone
No.
knows Sollozzo never shuts up.
Say lots, oh. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put this in hit picks. I don't know if it is a hit pick, but the first person you see in the movie is that man. What's his name?
Vito?
No.
Oh, Bonacera.
Bonacera. And when he does come back, you kind of don't really know what it is. They're going down the elevator, and it's like, oh, are they going to use him to do like get revenge or do whatever?
Right.
But it's just like a sweet family thing, and I think the real hit pick is Marlon Brando's performance in that scene when like they reveal the son. He's like, I just don't want his mom to see him this way, and he like starts breaking down. It's like, and it's meme, so I'm sure it didn't have the impact that it did in 1972. But they're like, look how they massacred my boy. I was able to like disconnect from the meme and like engage with that performance, and it got me.
They did massacre.
See what?
Sad.
This is I'm beating a dead horse at this point.
Hey, get it? Yeah, don't beat it then. If you,
I don't care. They're mafia. They're
Don't
not people.
preface-
Well, no,
Don't
but that's
preface what
honestly
you're
that's
gonna
what it is.
say.
It's like, oh, you're so sad that your kid got killed and you've killed how many other people, did the exact same thing to other people. You have no right to feel any emotion here at all. So that's why I feel.
Okay. Here's a nitpick, since we're in this section. There's a scene at the Corleone house when the Godfather is still in the hospital, and then his sons are talking of how Michael's about to arrive. It's the scene where he does arrive in the foreground, like we talked about.
Yeah.
But before that, there's like 4 dudes on couches, and they're kind of paired up, and there's 2 simultaneous conversations happening.
Oh.
But they're actually in the mix at the same level. I had to watch it twice because I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to listen to.
Huh.
I was like, I just didn't hear anything.
That's so interesting.
And I had to rewind it, and like, because what happens as the scene plays out is that the conversation with Tom, which is on the right side of the screen, ends up being the one you should have been listening to.
Okay.
So I had to like back it up and like try to ignore what is supposed to just be background noise
Yeah.
from these other dudes, or maybe it's an intentional choice. I don't know, but it was
Either
annoying.
way, yeah. It's like Tenant audio mix where it's like it was intentional, but it sucked. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Experimental. The experiment went wrong.
Hit pick when they are at the Five Families peace gathering, and they're talking about what they can do or whatever, and he's like, well, Bartzini says it's like they're making some sort of deal, and he's just like, and so like, you know, you would provide a service and you would have a right to provide a bill for that service. After all, we're not communists. And I was like, yeah, there's the capitalists, and there's the mafia, but at least they're not the horrible communists. Yeah, that
I
was kind
love
of funny.
that.
Like that's something they all agree on.
Yeah.
It's a free country.
I like that scene too because in my first couple of rewatches, I didn't really get what he meant. Like, oh, it was Barzini the whole time, but like that's planted early in this movie where it's like it was Barzini, and it's Tattaglia is not clever enough, and apparently in the book it's like explicit. Like there's a lot more in the backstory of each like of the leaders of the 5 families.
okay,
but
yeah.
I like that scene. I love because I remember the first time watching it when he's like, you own all, like when Benzini backs up to Tattaglia and he's like, you own everybody. You have to give us a piece of the
Right.
judges and this. And it's like, no, he doesn't. Like what? Okay, but that's why this whole thing is happening. He's trying to break apart the empire and get his piece. And I was
Bartzini
like,
is?
yeah. I was like,
Barzini.
that's smart. That's smart.
Barzani, more like. He's wild.
He is Barzini.
This kind of
He
isn't
has some
a,
crazy parties.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a nitpick or not, but I wish the mother was a character.
Yeah, she kind of is relegated to the back. It's definitely like
Kind of. She's like literally has no lines.
She's not a character.
You see her dancing with the Don in the wedding, and then like that's it.
I'd say
not
this movie, I'm sure it fails the whatever that
Bechdel test.
the Bechdel test.
Are you kidding me?
Because the women never, yeah,
exist.
yeah. Because even
Well, it's a
Connie-
movie
Except
about.
for Connie, who's like, you never thought about me. You just thought about that at the end. That was.
But
good.
she's not talking to. I think the Bechdel test is they have to be like a woman has to be
Women
speaking
talking
to, a woman.
each other and not about a man.
That is one metric of an 8-question Bechdel test.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. But I mean, they all exist to serve the plot driven by the men of this.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
a bit
It's
of
a
bummer,
mafia movie.
But it's a mafia movie, and that's how
in
it was
1945.
in the 40s.
It's like, what are you gonna?
Exactly.
What are you gonna do? What's the matter?
It's not like today, what we're playing now.
Yeah, Galadriel.
Hey,
It was
what?
bullshit.
He was trying to transition to.
All right, guys.
Don't have beards.
It is time for us to move into a new
Okay.
segment of the show we're calling Now Playing. All right, so in this segment, we are going to talk about other things that we may be watching and recommend that you watch them or don't watch them. David, what are you watching?
First thing I want to talk about, Good Place. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Not
Is
great.
There a
Yeah.
new season? Or
No, I finally got around to watching it. People said it was the best show on television, and you are so wrong. I went through each year it was on TV. I found at least 7 shows that are better than it. So don't ever tell
wow.
me to be watching that.
And it's from one of the principal writers of Parks and Rec and The Office.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It's a good show,
The
but
first
it's, yeah.
season is clearly the best, and then it gets worse. The other thing I'm doing is I'm continuing my playthrough of all the Castlevania games, and I'm on my 3rd rewatch of the anime. Highly recommend the anime. It's
Third
awesome.
rewatch.
Yeah, it's
Is it-
awesome.
It's a series? How many seasons is that?
It's 4 seasons on Netflix. The first season's only 4 episodes, so it's kind of like 3 seasons. It is awesome. And by the end, some of the fights, the animation is phenomenal.
It's a great show.
It's really
I
fun.
watched it as well.
Yeah.
It's I love it. Wait, I
Highly recommend.
think I haven't watched the latest season.
You can-
What are you watching?
I'm watching Euphoria.
You are? My little sister
Yeah.
watches that.
What is that supposed to mean?
I mean, it's on in my house and I see it sometimes.
Yeah.
Zendaya?
It's something Lauren wanted to watch, and I was kind of like somewhat interested in it a while ago, but then like it kind of became a meme, and everyone's like making fun of it because it's like teenagers don't wear
Yeah.
crazy makeup like this all the time and do the intense amount of drugs and horrible criminal activities that these people do. But it's a good show. Once you get past because like as it's the same thing with the mafia movies. It like annoyed me that I'm like it's to an extent glorifying all this drug use in high school and stuff, and I'm like that's bad. But once you kind of like get past that a little bit, it's a really really good show. Very technically well executed. The performances are really good. The writing and the plot development and the arcs that they weave in and out is really really good. So if you can get over the highly morally questionable aspects, then it's a really good show.
Okay.
And I'm playing God of War right now because it came out on PC and I'm able to finally finish it. So I think I'm like halfway, and it's really good so far.
I'm playing God.
Yeah, of War.
I watched The Tinder Swindler.
How was it?
I don't know. Me and my wife are so messed
Wait,
up.
what the heck is that?
It's like it's a movie about the scam artist, and when the movie ends, we're just like, we could do that. We could totally do that. It's like,
The Tinder Swindler?
yeah, it's just about some loser who like it has a big Ponzi. I don't want to spoil it, but he's just using people. Basically,
That's the
Tinder.
premise.
it's a doc use.
Is it Dr.
Oh,
How many
okay.
episodes?
When you
It's
look
one.
it up,
It's a 2-hour
Would
documentary.
you recommend it? Or would you say that it's like if you really like docuseries?
If you're into scams and stuff, it's cool.
I need inspiration for my
Although
next one.
again, it could be 20 minutes shorter. I would you kind of get the gist at the beginning, because they have like the structure of it being like, here's the love story part, like he totally won me over, he was so cool, and then there's the turn where like now it's all going to go bad.
was
I
the
would think that the
Don.
build-up part at the beginning is probably a little too long, but whatever.
turns out he was the Don Corleone. The
Ali
whole time.
Wong has a new stand-up special. It's very good.
Okay.
All right.
Check it out. If you have kids, you'll like it.
If you have kids.
It's
Oh,
you
it's
got to
not
be
for
able,
kids.
you got to be able to relate to it, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the content is about like
Wait, is that the one where
how
she's pregnant?
shitty.
No, she's
Oh.
Had the child.
Nice.
Success.
No, because she did a stand-up special where she was pregnant,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
that is her.
that was like
Yeah,
2
yeah.
years ago or 3 years ago now.
Yeah, well,
Time
I
flies.
don't keep up with
Also,
Ali
South
Wong.
Park. South Park's lit.
Is it good again?
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Because last one I watched was the almost post-pandemic one where it's like it's been 40 years, but
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
we're almost done the pandemic.
I thought that was pretty good.
That one was pretty funny, but it's continued. How was it after?
It's been some pretty good stuff recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
There- I don't know.
Are they onto
I don't
a
wanna
regular
spoil it.
season or?
Yeah. It's
Oh.
it's shorter episodes again.
Where do I watch that? Paramount Plus.
I don't know. You can watch it on MTV.com. I think.
What?
In Canada.
Cool.
Anyways,
Get that ad black around.
So check out those shows. Is that what we say?
Sure.
I don't know why we're doing this.
Yeah,
segment.
why do we do that?
People are interested.
Just to let you know what we're into.
They want to know.
And we're into you continuing to listen to us, so come back and subscribe. Is that what do you do? You do this, James. You do this part.
Write us.
Yeah, well, as you can see, we opened the top of the show with an email, that dairy farmer dude. And so you can email us and we'll look at them.
Right.
You can leave us a 5-star or less stars review.
But
And
preferably
only
the
5
first
stars.
one.
you can also tweet at us at TJMPod. The email address is hello@they'rejustmovies.com.
And if you have some well thought out arguments about The Godfather,
Oh,
leave that to us by email or comment on YouTube, and we will probably read that if it's a well thought out.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us if you think my take was super annoying and I should just give it a 9.
If someone has a counterpoint, let us know
Yeah.
counterpoints
anywhere.
are-
And then if it's really compelling, we can talk about it next.
If you have a compelling argument to make for why mafia morality is good, email us.
Adios.
Later.
As they say in Italy.
Sayonara.
Adios.
Wait. What do they actually say?
Ciao.
Ciao.